missions left. Giulio's mission here.
I forget who that is. Oh, right, he's the dude with like the soul
Chef.
patch and the sideburns. Yeah, this is the chef. Got it. I've got it now.
I am chef.
He's Guy Fieri. There we go.
Honestly, Robokai said, "I am chef," and I just really, really wanted to hear Giulio break into a rendition of Chocolate Salty Balls.
Yeah, see, I was actually going for the Taco the Wonder Dog video. You are chef.
We just went in completely different directions, all three of us.
Featuring, I believe, Fragmaster as the voice of the chef.
Who's Fragmaster?
Ex-admin from Something Awful.
Excellent voice.
He does have an excellent voice.
Taco the Wonder Dog, or it was actually Taok the Wonder Dog, was basically someone who would make flash animations which were just sound, fury, and epilepsy.
Signifying nothing if we're going to complete the Macbeth reference.
Yes. Like, you are chef, or I am chef, or whatever it's called, is quite possibly one of the most brutal. Yeah, look at it, just opens and goes, "You are chef, I am chef, you are chef, I am chef," and there's like just this cacophony of like sound and music going off in the background. You can barely, like, it just sounds like someone's like violently assaulting a saxophone in the background.
Oh, so it's like listening to a Kenny G album.
Oh, I will have to look it up and send it to you once the stream is done, because for everyone's sake, because it's just, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere.
It's gotta
like
be.
It's from the days before YouTube, like, just fucking.
Oh right, back when it was still like Google Video or whatever.
No, even before that. This was like before these things existed. There was, I think it was like, I don't even remember where it was hosted or how it was hosted or what. I think it might have been on Newgrounds or something.
Oh my god, that is definitely going back a minute. Does that site even still exist?
Yeah, Newgrounds, it's still kicking. It's actually still kicking strong. It's the only place you can get like non-virus laden flash animation porn done by 12-year-olds. So
great, that's a real niche we've got there.
Well, that's where everyone started. So.
Well, I mean, it actually loaded quickly and didn't break anything when I typed in newgrounds.com. So that makes it a hell of a lot better than most other really old sites.
Yeah, no, it's still kicking strong. There's not really anywhere else on the internet, like, if you're someone who's just mucking around with Flash to put stuff up, so it makes sense it's still around.
That's because Flash is a terrible technology that is better left to the scrap heap of history.
Well, that's probably 100% true, but, like, some people like to learn a few things along the way about how to make an animation from it, or rather what not to do.
Yeah, that's
or they make something terrible and completely reinforce the bad ideas, so I don't know.
Giulio stole expensive cooking ingredients.
And that's how he got...
Yeah, that's enough to get you sent to a suicide squad.
I mean, it depends on the nobles around and how much they like the ingredients that you've stolen.
Well, he just said a certain military school, which means Landseal, which is the only military school.
Right, I snuck into the warehouse and took some. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so he didn't cook it for the nobles. He cooked it for the soldier rank and file. So I can imagine why they didn't do it, but they didn't like it.
He's making me hungry though. I want to go cook.
Giulio, I like Giulio. Giulio's just got like probably the weirdest sort of way to. Yeah, what an idiot. He's got the sort of the weirdest sort of thing to keep him from like being too smothered in the despair of war, but he gets it there. Amber mushrooms. Oh no.
Is it? Did you do that on purpose? TER fight? How ter fight?
Yeah, that's how the I can't pronounce his name, but it's the orc that represents Margaret Thatcher. That's how he refers to Yarrick. All them Yumis don't know how to fight. Seppo One Eye.
Yeah, it's Skazgul, Mag, Auric, Thatcher.
Thank you.
Thraka.
There's no way I could pronounce that without directly looking at it.
Raka.
Yeah, that's
Raka
yeah,
Daka.
that's Orc Margaret Thatcher. He knew how to fight.
Because
I'm sorry,
it's
I
like
can't get over this.
Whenever someone tells you Margaret Thatcher is a well-beloved woman, I just sort of look over at like Games Workshop. Back when they were like really fucking tongue-in-cheek about a lot of stuff, and it's like, no.
Tell me
I
about.
don't think she was...
Tell me about Orc Margaret Thatcher.
I mean...
Well, it's just Skazgul. He's the most powerful orc. He's pretty much the most powerful orc because one time, the Eldar were like, hey, let's look into the future, and they're like, oh no, this particular orc war boss is gonna like basically rise to power and level craft world after craft world. We need to take care of that. Well, how can we do it? And they're like, well, what if we put a round in this guy's head? So they put a round in that guy's head, this orc's head, and the Pain Docs and the Mech Boys go, oh, okay, we'll just put a fucking, like, you know, new bit of brain and a metal plate in his head. And the orc wakes up and goes, I can speak directly to Gork and Mork! And everyone naturally believes him. And of course, because they speak directly to him, he's incredibly good at fighting and winning. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, he gets a massive army up and decides he's going to go to one of the biggest production worlds of war machines in the Imperium, so that he can get more of their stuff and just continue smashing everything, which was unfortunately for the Imperium Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eldar, of course, sat back sipping their tea and went, fuckers. I mean, and so like essentially what it was is like when Games Workshop started to sort of like put out examples of campaigns and stuff, the very first one they ever did was Armageddon, and so it was the story of two leaders, and one was obviously Skazgul, and the other one was Commissar Yarrick, who led the planetary defenses and imperial defenses of Armageddon, because the planetary governor was an insane, corrupt idiot.
I mean, it was a Forge world. That's pretty much par for the course.
It was, yeah. I feel bad for Armageddon because it's like not even like the first time that horrible things happen to.
Oh god, no! It gets nutsacked harder than a 2-year-old, or not a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old in a Rochambeau competition.
Yeah, because Skazgul invades Armageddon twice, and they're the second and third invasions of Armageddon. The first invasion of Armageddon was Angron, the World Eater's Primarch, having already ascended to Demon Princehood.
He was just like, this looks like a good world to eat.
And the only thing that stopped him then was basically the Grey Knights and the Space Wolves working together.
Yeah, and not at any, what's the word I'm looking for, light cost either. Like, every single Grey Knight except like one. It was like 1 or 2, like, had to die to get rid of Angron. It was
and on top of that, every single like human soldier, Imperial Guard soldier, Planetary Guard soldier, civilian that managed to survive all that were like interred into work camps in order to so just basically they weren't allowed to leave and they weren't allowed to tell anybody what happened, because if word got out about Angron, like there would be like a lot of people like, oh well, hey, we're fucked, guys. Fuck, let's throw some chaos. So, and the Space Wolves were not very happy about that. So that's led to some one of the very many instances where the Space Wolves have come to blow with the Imperial authority.
Yeah, well, when are the Space Wolves happy about anything? Like, seriously, they're the biggest. They're like Clan Bruja from World of Darkness. Literally anything you do is going to piss them off at some point or another.
Yeah. Blood Raven, you're asking why they got rid of the Chaos Titan or the Gatling gun that could shoot out demons? Well, that's obvious because the greatest war machine is the orcs. They don't need no stinking Titan. It makes everybody obsessed with like chasing after something and not fighting, and that's why orcs are strongest. That's what Gorguts said.
That's and Gorguts is pretty much entirely correct about this thing, like objectively.
Yeah, I mean he canonically kills Krull. So you know, when he tells you it makes you stupid, it makes you stupid.
I mean, he did just prove that he's the biggest, which makes him the boss.
Like the fact in a universe like so big on like making space marines come out like the heroes that like, you know, like surf atop a tide of like everybody who's dead. The fact that Gorguts is still kicking around is a testament to the fact that Gorguts is incredible.
Everything about Gorguts is good, and I will not hear any heresy otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, he's even great in Dawn of War 3. He's probably one of, like I said, like, last time someone asked me about Dawn of War 3, I said, like, basically, the three main characters of Dawn of War 3, Gabriel Angelos, Farsi Maka, and Gorguts, they're all excellent, interesting characters, and they all do an excellent job. And Gorguts is probably the most entertaining, because he, like... I just saw that weird. He is 100% the most entertaining because like his entire thing, like his entire motivation is just to get a new pointy stick.
I'm here for one thing and one thing only, damn it.
A new pointy stick that he can put some heads on because he needs it. It's just just how he rolls.
What's a boss without his boss pole?
Yeah, but like the very first, like the thing is he turns up on he turns up in like the system, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna help this war boss out because this war boss is a fucking idiot. So if I can just get him hilariously killed at some point, I'll just take over everything. And so he builds this gigantic like gun for him, but it's like they build the gun with scrap and everything. He's like, well, okay, it's out here though. We need to get it back to base. Like, so you routinely fire the gun so that like with it has enough recoil that the entire thing actually like launches off of its like base that it's stabilized on, and does a backflip through the air and then lands upright a little bit closer to your main base. And that's basically, you just got to keep charging the gun and firing it while fighting off the Eldar. That's one of his missions. That's like.
That sounds magical.
It is. Like I said, like some of the missions are like, particularly the orc ones, are amazing in that game, and it's just, but there just hasn't been enough to keep me coming back to it, which is sad.
It's a pity, quite a pity. Hopefully they'll get some expansions or something in there that redeem it, because I mean, to be fair to even Dawn of War 2, Dawn of War 2's base campaign was fantastic. But looking back, the base campaign is by far the weakest.
What they really need to do more than anything else is they really need to put in Last Stand. Why the game didn't launch with Last Stand when Last Stand had so much longevity in Dawn of War 2. Like people were still probably still playing Last Stand right now.
Oh no, they are. Like I mean, I got two of my friends into it for the first time like 3 months ago, and we had absolutely no problem finding games like individually. Like I showed them the ropes, and they were just like, "Yeah, dude, I just hopped on after work today, played a couple of rounds, boom, straight in." People still play. Yeah,
that's what they need to do. They need to roll with that.
They even made it as a standalone. After a while, I'm pretty sure the standalone is still on Steam, actually.
Yeah. I don't understand why they have not, like, why that was not in there.
It honestly kind of just makes me think that this is the sort of thing that happens when somebody, or it's almost like the danger of success, I guess, in the sense that after you've succeeded and after you've done really well with something and you have like super high expectations for the next thing, it is tempting to stop listening, right? After you've got money, you've got fame, you've got success, you can do whatever you want. Well, the problem is that you got there by listening to what other people wanted and responding to them. So, I mean, there are a number of people who stopped listening. And, you know, I mean, even Valve, to a certain extent, kind of understands that. Because, like, that's kind of the trap that they're in with the Half-Life series. They didn't want to talk about Half-Life 2 until it was ready to go out, because they had no idea what they wanted to do with it, because everybody was expecting something revolutionary. It's the same trap they're in with Half-Life 3. Until there's, like, some new revolutionary thing that they can use to, like, make another indelible mark on the FPS genre, you're never going to be able to measure up to Half-Life's 1 and 2, which made the scripted events in FPS as a thing, and then also made, like, physics engines a thing.
Yeah. The thing that mostly just confuses me about the Dawn of War 3 lack of last stand mode is just the fact that the last mission is basically last stand, except you're controlling the three characters. It's just, you know, you just sit there and you just go, well, you guys clearly were still aware of how popular Last Stand was. Like, you decided to make it like the final boss thing, but you just, yeah, I don't know.
Wow, yeah, the Last Stand standalone is still on Steam, and as a matter of fact, it's 75% off for the summer sale right now. So, I mean, not only is it still there, it is still getting attention to some level or another. That's crazy. All the DLC is 75% off as well.
Yeah, and the DLC is pretty good.
Yeah, most of the DLC.
The Tau. Well, I mean, for Last Stand, it's just the Tau and the Necron one. And they's good. Oh god, I can't believe you made Alphonse walk upstairs.
Cookie basically hits the entire issue. It's like, okay, what technology out there is there to, you know, revolutionize everything? Hey, VR, no. I'm sorry, you know, VR is never going to revolutionize anything, because if nothing else, it requires way too much cost of entry. I mean, until you have like VR headsets that are probably $50 or less, you're not going to get a whole lot of buy-in. I mean, people don't have infinite money for gaming. Hell, even PC gaming has a really high cost of admission, which is only taken care of by the fact that you can use a PC for running literally your entire existence.
Yeah. I've still been thinking of upgrading.
Yeah, no, I need to. It's just that I'm a little bit broke right now.
Yeah. I've got the opposite problem. I feel like I sort of slapped together this PC when my previous one sort of started to choke and die, and like it's been a good stopgap, but there's like a, you know.
Yeah, you're not quite sure what to upgrade to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely something that has like more RAM than I'll ever need. I think that's the biggest mistake with this one is like I just don't have enough. I feel I need more.
Yeah,
and and an SSD. I need an SSD. I may end up doing this before September because that's when Total War 2 comes out, and I feel like trying to run that without a fucking Total Warhammer 2. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say.
I feel like trying to run that without a solid state drive is like no.
I mean,
it's like no.
I suppose. I hope that they continue to, you know, make the engine better as far as that goes, because I tried to.
It's amazing how like you've nerded out nonstop for 20 minutes. It's pretty impressive.
Mean, is it really amazing, or is this par for the course with the two?
Yeah, here we are again. Here again, everybody in the regulars being racist to Darksons again. Could you guys just like dial it back? You're in a war.
No matter who's talking, what was just said is intolerable. Correct. Really, what are you going to do about it? It's like the dumbest thing to ever say to anyone. Even if they actually do back down there's no way that they're going to continue to back down. You basically just put up the highest hoop for them to jump through.
Who the heck are you? I'm the chef.
And I'm here to
I will
cook
solve
your ass.
all of your problems with food. I could use a really good steak, though.
Oh no, he's going to trick them into eating Darkson food!
I'll give his grandma's hidden wine. Okay, that sounds like a... sounds like a horrible euphemism. So
just take other people's stuff. Giulio, you really, you should have learned long ago. This guy's basically here because he can't stop stealing other people's shit to improve his food.
Just soup. Man, I could murder a good tomato bisque right now.
Gross. Blech.
The regulars are all dumbfounded. Thank you, Amy, mistress of the obvious.
Yeah, everyone, have some soup.
Oh, God, I really do want a decent tomato bisque right now. Just cream and tomato.
Maybe I should not have played Giulio's missions then.
Well, that's just it. You know, I mean, I don't really care about too much, like, having many things in my life.
Oh no, he's poisonous!
Fucking food.
Well, Imka's definitely not going to eat it because it's got mushroom in it.
Damn it! This is where they all break out.
Okay,
and start
no.
speaking. I'm
It's,
turning Japanese.
God damn it! That's you. Okay? You can't not say God damn it. If you have to say damn it, it has to be God damn it. It has to be in the same intonation and everything else.
Oh
from that
God,
video.
deep fried amber mushroom. I don't know what amber mushroom is, but I would take a deep fried portobello right now. Fuck, that sounds amazing.
See, if Giulio had cooked some good soup that day, maybe all those Darksons wouldn't have been left on the other side of the bridge to be violently gunned down by the Empire.
Oh man, yeah, no, I'm totally hungry now. I might seriously have to step away to start cooking things.
No, can't do that.
I mean,
food is one of the great levelers when it comes to like smoothing out intolerance.
It really is. Like, there's a very small minority of people who don't love to eat. You know, there are the rare people who are just like full aesthetics.
There are some dumb bogans out there who think that if you eat halal food, you'll turn into a Muslim.
It sounds like redneck logic to me.
Someone showed me that. I think was it you, Lune, who showed me that, or was it somebody else? And I was just like, what the fuck's up with this dude? And I was just like, bogans.
Well, if you know it, let's just be fair here. If you know an Australian, you're going to ask them like, "What is up with this guy? Like, what's a bogan? What's this?" And then he's just gonna be, and then your response will just be bogan. That's how it is.
I mean,
even the name bogan.
It's a good name.
It honestly reminds me of a couple of times that like I had, for example, a German person just like put some redneck bullshit in front of me, and all I can do is reply rednecks. You know, it's what the American South is.
Yeah. I just wanted to say when you said you said Logan.
I was what?
Yeah. The first thing that popped into my head was basically Roma going bogan.
Now, you know, everybody in their life has role models. Like my male role models include people like Gordon Ramsay, but among my female role models is Judge Judy.
Oh Lord.
And well, since we're talking about this redneck,
in the chair and tell people they're dumb.
So like, I was watching some clips today, and I saw an episode where she had to deal with these two women who were basically the definition of the American redneck, and it was great. The accents were so perfect. It's just like they were two sisters, and they were really calm about this. She's like, so like the defendant came in. It's like she took the car of her sister without saying anything, and she hit a deer and it caused some damage. So her sister said, you know, she should own up and be responsible for it. And meanwhile, our defendant is just like, you know, what'd you do with? And Judge Judy's like, what'd you do with the deer? Oh, I didn't report it. I took it. I came back later and got it, and I ate it. And her sister's just there, like, oh my god, she's just making the faces. It's great.
I hate the evidence. No one's gonna catch me now. I'm a genius.
I mean, it's really funny when you hear a lot of this stuff too, because if you talk to, I've spoken to a couple of linguists, and one of the most interesting things I heard of it is that like the deepest hick Appalachian accent you can think of, apparently that's the closest thing to like Middle English that people actually spoke like in like the Enlightenment or so forth, when just because that's more or less where those people came from around that time, you know, first part of the Age of Sail, and then they settled in those mountains, and then they fucked their cousins for about 500 years. Was pretty much it.
Oh my god! Sorry, I just saw this link. Like I was just checking the news website because we're talking about rednecks and the desert prophecies. This dude, like just 31 minutes ago, they've got CCTV footage of this dude get hit by a double-decker bus in England, and like it hits him, throws him across. Like the bus loses control. Like he's off the road, and this thing loses control.
Oh yeah, he just gets back up and walks away.
He lands directly in front of the entrance to a pub, so he just gets up and walks in.
That's one way to kill pain.
I would think that. Like, I think exactly what I would do. I'd just be like, "Oh fuck
it's
it,
kind
I
of
drink."
I mean, anything could happen in a car crash. You could walk away with no injury. You could have your spine shot. He got hit directly in the back, though. Like he got plastered on the front of it, but he's.
And it was.
It was probably spread out enough. It didn't like.
Yeah, he didn't know.
Shatter bones, but it probably fractured.
It hit him and threw him. Yeah. So he was probably very relaxed, but yeah, that's just, I just want to say, like...
Very relaxed. That's one way of putting it, I suppose.
Well, they say the best way to not, like, get seriously injured when you get hit is to not be all tensed up, because that's how you, like, wrench shit out of place and everything, because your body's trying to hold
that's how a
together.
dislocation happens.
Whereas if you're, like, you know, if you're not ready for it and you get hit, you know... I don't know, maybe I could be something.
It's a little bit weird because, like, skeletal damage, you're absolutely correct. The ligaments and tendons that connect muscles to the skeleton and so forth, those by nature are stretchy, and if you tense up, you rob a lot of those things of their elasticity. As far as organ damage and muscle damage is concerned, I mean, particularly if you have a relatively strong core, like if you can plank for a good 5 minutes, which honestly is not that terribly long, your abs are probably just as strong in terms of like tensile strength as a Kevlar weave. So tensing up like that makes a lot of sense to protect your organs. So it really just depends on what sort of damage you're talking about. And in this case, he's hit in the back. The back is reasonably well armored compared to the human front. So
I know you're nerding out, but Bloodraven had a question and nobody's answered him yet.
I mean,
that's because the most obvious one's already been taken by the Rock, so you can't smell what the chef is cooking.
Honestly, yeah. I mean,
why bother? Just give up. He's already stolen the best line you can have.
His line didn't even make any sense either. Do you smell what the Rock? What the hell are you talking about, Dwayne Johnson? Why?
He just like talked a lot about butts and farts back then, I think. So it was basically how it went.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm gonna turn on the grill
and dropping poops.
I'm gonna turn on the grill because Giulio actually made me hungry. I'll be right back.
Oh my god. We're doing cooking with anime World War II. Also, we're in the desert. Remember how horrible the desert was?
Until we put a sprinkler on our truck.
How inhospitable it was in the first Valkyria Chronicles. Oh yeah, no one ever talked about that.
5 minutes.
Oh well.
Also, the desert really wasn't a problem in VC1 because it didn't have area effects. Yeah. Sniper, shock trooper, sergeant major, major.
It's actually major if you're referencing Cash 22.
I only wanted to say it twice because it gets annoying after the second time.
So, I mean, Joseph Heller basically...
Would you say it gets majorly annoying?
Hold on. Cool guy, I'm putting the sprinkler on the truck again.
Oh goody!
Yay! Let's run under the sprinkler.
I've got to see this. Oh god, it didn't give me a cool picture of it in the loadout screen.
It takes forever to load sometimes.
Yeah,
I can't help that.
Yeah, we'll see the sprinkler in the game. It's cool. Yeah, it's raining here right now. I had to bring my washing in because it got soaked because I was eating lunch when it happened.
Australia problems.
Yeah. Well, rain in Australia.
I don't know if
actually,
that's
where I live, it does actually rain fairly frequently. It's one of the locations where if it's gonna rain, it sort of rains in the general area. Usually misses my place though, just because we got mountains on one side and we got like a coast on the other, you know, many kilometers distant. So you know, it's like usually the clouds and the bad weather rides either the mountain range or it rides the coast because they are better for like the precipitation and cloud movement and everything like that. But you know, it doesn't always miss us.
What am I thinking?
I can't read your mind. Why the fuck are you asking me? Also, you took the trader out. Why did you take the trader out?
Why do you ask these questions?
Because you said I was going to see a sprinkler, dickhead.
Eventually.
Where's his Gundam? Oh no! He has no Gundam. He has no grace. This penal squadron has
a funny face.
Darkson race.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yours was better than mine.
Oh hi there, guy in the bushes. Bye, guy in the bushes. See you around. Run around.
I don't use him enough, even though he has good weaponry. It's just, I don't know. I just like him sitting back there and being curt.
It seems appropriate that the commander is like operating from the butt.
Well, he's a shock trooper though. He has all the health in the game, so
you would honestly also say that, but there are a lot of games kind of in the same vein. I'm thinking of Ogre Battle primarily, where if you try to do that, it'll just screw you in subtle ways later on. I'm thinking especially of Ogre Battle 64. Fuck you guys.
Oh yeah, what does it do though?
Oh, so Magnus himself, the commander of your squad or of your battalion or unit, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm actually not clear on what the game even calls it anymore. But
I need to wake up here. That's why I'm not talking.
If you leave him in the back, there's one or two situations where, boy, she just got demolished.
That happens pretty much once every episode, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Anyway, so in Ogre Battle 64, Magnus, if he is low level, you can't access a bunch of like really cool plot that requires Magnus himself to attack a lot of the bosses. And also the best weapon for your doll masters in the game is the doll that looks like Magnus, and the reason it's the best one in the game is because if Magnus is even remotely leveled up, it fights off of his stats. But if you're doing what's reasonable and leaving him in the back, because if he ever dies, you lose instantly. You're stuck with these weapons. Yeah, you're stuck with these weapons that you get in like the first 1/3 of the game, and they never upgrade.
Is he at the very least a decent fighter?
Yeah, I mean, and he's a decent fighter, and you can build him in a number of different ways as well. Like, did you ever play Ogre Battle 64?
No.
Okay, so to be clear, there are a number of like armored warrior classes in that game that can draw magic out of their sword, which basically means that if they have a sword that is affiliated with a specific element, they will get 2 casts of that element when they're in the back row. So pretty much exactly as if they were a wizard. So I mean, you can make Magnus a cleric by giving him a holy sword. You can make him a fire caster by giving him a fire sword, or you can just give him the biggest, baddest, sharp-edged thing you can and put him up front and have him smash faces. So it's just in that one little thing, they do a really good job of making him flexible. There are a couple of other hero units that do exactly the same thing, like Magnus's dad.
Yeah, what was that, dude? What was the fuck was that? Guy just like flying every which way, but actually shooting it. Like he really just didn't want to shoot Amy. She's too adorable to shoot.
He was hoping for some mercy in return, but he got none.
That's not how we roll here.
Oh, good. All right, I need to go put my stuff on the grill. I'll be right back.
I hate you so much.
Super Robot Wars has that thing, a bit of a tendency of like you'll almost always get a game over if you get your battleship destroyed. But at the same time, some of the best items you can get are like a secret requirement involves getting your battleship commander up to a certain level, and you can only get them up by having them up the front line in danger, destroying things. And that's not a problem in V, Super Robot Wars V, because pretty much all of your battleships are super strong, killacious things, and the other thing is, no, I think that's pretty much it. Oh no, you can also give them lots of abilities to make up for their deficiencies with the skill factory. Yeah, because probably the hardest thing for battleships in Super Robot was actually getting them to kill anything, because most of their guns are like post-movement. So you want to keep them moving up with the rest of your troops so they can take advantage of your command radius. That'll boost their stats and everything.
But then they can't fire.
I'm pretty sure we've got a grass hole.
So.
I remember.
There were like 2 of them already, so I'm not surprised.
There has to be an ass for every grass.
Sure, dude. I remember the unfortunately abandoned Super Robot Wars OG series Let's Play on Something Awful, but that one was particularly good at demonstrating exactly how obnoxious that can be, simply because you had to get
still on Ogre Battler.
Well, we've shifted on to
Super Robot Wars. We're talking about how like there are like
commander units that are really obnoxious to use.
Even if Kurt goes down, I can get him back. It's just he provides an extra point, and he's just too valuable to really risk on the major stuff.
Yeah,
because no one's there to replace him yet.
It is nice that it isn't.
Also, he gives orders. He buffs people. So yeah, having him just on the field at all times is good enough, I think. Sometimes. And holding
also,
one.
J-Saru, in case you're not aware, you can turn off the battle animation in Ogre Battle 64, which speeds up at least the fights very significantly.
There's an
the
option.
overworld is still really slow, though.
There's an option in this saying, like, disable the enemy turn, but I'm not going to do that because I like seeing them get shot.
Yeah. Super Robot Wars games always have the function you can set to just skip the combat, and it'll give you an abridged, like, telling of what happened.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, here's the numbers, and you're like, okay, thanks.
Here's the numbers. This unit got in front of this unit, or followed up after this unit and did this, and used this ability, etc., etc.
Also, this guy died.
This guy died. Rip guy who died.
Rip guy who died.
Rest in peace, little Rizzle.
Yeah, it's in the OG games. You get the mark of the hero. If you get your battleship commanders to a certain level, and like that can be really difficult, because in the OG games, in the ones where you can actually like teach them abilities, which is I think pretty much all of them. The best thing you can give them is the ability hit and run, because what hit and run does is it basically lets you fire then move. So you can fire your attack that can't be fired, after you move first and then move. And that's really cool and really handy. But you've still got to like participate in fights and kill units and stuff like that in order to get the pilot points enough up that you can purchase it for your battleship commander. And considering a lot of the A lot of the things you need, like to get the Super Robot Wars points and stuff.
Yes, he's talking about
XCOM.
XCOM.
No, I'm not talking about XCOM.
No!
I'm referring to Blimlin in the chat. Please finish your thought.
Oh,
I find
okay.
it interesting.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you've like the Super Robot Wars games always have Super Robot points, which are basically the difficulty selection option. Is that you have to like do like certain criteria in the game to earn these points, and if the points are like a certain percentage amount, you can